Stop. Don't just listen to this. Do something right now. Tonight, before you go to bed, I want you to pay attention to what you eat or what you don't eat, because at your age, that one small decision can quietly decide how you sleep and how you perform as a man. I've been a urologist for over 25 years, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Most men over 60 are not losing their strength overnight. They're losing it slowly, silently, without realizing what's causing it. And here's what surprised me, even after all those years of practice, I almost missed it in myself. A few years ago, I started noticing the same pattern my patients described. I was waking up at 2 or 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, feeling tired in the morning, and something else, something harder to admit. My body wasn't responding the same way anymore. Not weak, just slower, less reliable. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just aging. Something deeper was off. So I did what I always do. I tested everything. Supplements, sleep routines, even some of the common medications people rely on. Some worked for a few days, most didn't. And the ones that did, they didn't fix the root of the problem. That's when I realized something most people misunderstand. It's not just about testosterone. It's about the connection between your sleep, your blood flow, and your hormones. Break that connection, and everything starts to fade. What changed everything for me, and later for many of my patients, was not a pill, not a complicated protocol, but something so simple, most men ignore it completely. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what that is, why it works, and how to use it the right way. Because if you get this one thing right at night, the effects carry into everything the next day. Before we go any further, quick question, how old are you? Drop your age in the comments. I read every single one, and it helps me understand what you're going through. And one more thing, tell me honestly, how has your sleep been lately? Because that's where this all begins. All right, now let's start with the first and most overlooked piece of this entire puzzle. 1. The one simple night habit. Most men ignore. I'm going to start with something that sounds almost too simple, but I want you to actually do this tonight, not just listen. About 30 to 60 minutes before bed, eat a small handful, around 10 to 15 of tart cherries, or drink a small glass of unsweetened tart cherry juice. That's it. No complicated routine, no expensive supplement, just one small step at the right time. And yet, this is one of the most overlooked habits I see in men over 60. Now, here's why something this simple actually works. As you age, your body produces less melatonin, the hormone that tells your brain it's time to sleep, and that's one of the reasons you wake up in the middle of the night or never feel fully rested. Tart cherries naturally contain melatonin, but they also support nitric oxide production, which helps your blood vessels relax and improves circulation. So you're not just helping your sleep, you're also supporting the very blood flow your body depends on for strength and performance. What really caught my attention over the years is how these two systems are connected. When sleep improves, your body has a better chance to restore testosterone overnight, and when circulation improves, your body responds more naturally during the day. In one clinical trial, people who consumed tart cherry juice saw their total sleep time increase by over 80 minutes, and in another group, markers of inflammation dropped significantly, which is critical because chronic inflammation quietly damages blood vessels as we age. Here's how to use it the right way. Keep the portion small, stay consistent every night, and avoid anything with added sugar because that cancels out the benefit. This isn't a quick fix you feel overnight, but over 1 to 2 weeks, you'll start noticing deeper sleep, and over several weeks, more stable energy and better response in your body. And once you understand what this one fruit is actually doing inside you, the next piece is even more important because most men completely misunderstand the real mechanism behind it. 2. The 3-layer biological mechanism most men miss. Now let's go one level deeper because this is where most men misunderstand what's really happening inside their body. This isn't just about eating a fruit, it's about restoring a system that is quietly broken down over time, especially after 60. In both modern medicine and traditional practices, we've always looked at vitality as a combination of sleep, circulation, and internal balance, and tart cherries happen to influence all three at once. The first layer is melatonin, but not in the way most people think. It's not just about falling asleep, it's about entering deep restorative sleep where your body repairs itself and supports hormone production. Studies have shown that melatonin levels can drop significantly with age, and in controlled trials, tart cherry consumption increased sleep efficiency by by over 10 to 15%, which directly affects how well your body recovers overnight. The second layer is nitric oxide, the molecule that controls how well your blood vessels expand and deliver oxygen. As men age, nitric oxide production declines, and that creates a silent bottleneck in circulation. Tart cherries contain anthocyanins, which help stimulate nitric oxide pathways, and when combined with improved sleep, this creates a synergistic effect. Better rest enhances hormone signaling, while better blood flow improves physical response. In one study, participants showed measurable improvements in vascular function and reduced oxidative stress markers by nearly 20%. The third layer is inflammation, the hidden risk most men don't feel until it's too late. Chronic low-grade inflammation damages blood vessels, disrupts hormone signaling, and accelerates fatigue. Traditional medicine would call this a loss of internal balance, while modern science links it to elevated inflammatory markers. Tart cherries help reduce this burden, but here's the key: you need consistency, not intensity. So here's how to apply this correctly, especially if you're just starting. For the first 3 to 5 nights, begin with a smaller portion, about 5 to 7 cherries or half a cup of diluted juice, to let your body adjust. Then gradually increase to the full amount, always taking it 30 to 60 minutes before bed, and avoid combining it with heavy meals or sugar. This step-by-step approach helps your body respond without overwhelming your system, and over time, these 3 layers begin to work together. And once these systems start aligning, something even more interesting happens, because the real difference isn't just in how you sleep, it's in how your body responds the next day, and that's where we need to look next. 3. Why this works better than common methods. Now let's talk about what most men try first and why it often disappoints. Many of my patients come in already using pills, stimulants, or quick-fix supplements, hoping for an immediate boost. And yes, some of those can work within an hour or two, but what they're really doing is forcing a short-term response without fixing the underlying process that's been slowing down for years. Here's where tart cherries are different, and this is the part most people don't expect. The key compound here is anthocyanins, and once you consume them, your body begins converting signals that improve nitric oxide availability within hours. That means your blood vessels can start relaxing the same night, not weeks later, which is why some men notice warmer hands, better circulation, or even improved responsiveness within just a few hours after taking it. There was a controlled trial where participants showed improved vascular function within 2 to 3 hours of consuming anthocyanin-rich foods, and another study reported up to a 20% reduction in oxidative stress markers within days. Now combine that with better sleep from melatonin, and you get something powerful, a short-term boost in circulation paired with long-term repair. That's where you start seeing improvements not just in performance, but in energy, endurance, and how your body feels throughout the day. Now, some men tell me, "Doctor, I don't like the taste," or "It feels a little sour on my stomach." That's normal, especially at the beginning. In fact, that slight tartness or mild digestive response is often a sign your body is reacting to the polyphenols. It's not harm, it's activation. You can dilute the juice with water or pair the fruit with a small handful of nuts to make it easier. Here's exactly how I recommend using it if you want both fast and lasting results. Start with 6 to 8 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice about 45 minutes before bed, and if you want a faster circulation effect, you can split the dose, half in the evening, half earlier in the day. Over time, this builds not just a temporary effect, but a cumulative improvement in how your body functions. And once you see how quickly circulation can respond, the next piece is even more important because it involves something most men never think about, and it may be the real reason their body keeps slowing down. 4. The science most people overlook. This might sound a little unusual at first, but if you really want to amplify the effect, I sometimes have patients slightly warm their tart cherry juice, not hot, just gently warm to body temperature, and sip it slowly instead of drinking it all at once. It sounds simple, even strange, but this small change can improve how your body absorbs the active compounds, especially at night when your system is more sensitive to signals related to rest and repair. The main compound we're focusing on here is still anthocyanins, but now we're looking at what happens deeper inside the body. Once absorbed, these compounds interact with endothelial cells, the inner lining of your blood vessels, and stimulate a cascade that increases nitric oxide availability. That nitric oxide doesn't just affect large arteries, it also improves microcirculation, meaning the tiny capillaries that deliver oxygen to nerves and tissues start working better, which is critical for men who notice numbness, slower healing, or reduced sensitivity. In clinical settings, anthocyanin-rich interventions have been associated with up to a 25% improvement in endothelial function over time, and another study observed around a 15 to 20% increase in peripheral blood flow, particularly in older adults. That may not sound dramatic on paper, but in real life it translates to warmer extremities, better tissue response, and a noticeable difference in how the body reacts under stress or stimulation. Now here's how to apply this safely and effectively. If you're new, start with a smaller amount, about 4 ounces of juice, slightly diluted, and drink it slowly about 45 minutes before bed. After 5 to 7 days, you can increase to 6 to 8 ounces if your body tolerates it well, and always avoid overheating the juice because excessive heat can degrade the active compounds. Also, if you're on medication for blood pressure or circulation, it's worth checking with your doctor before increasing your intake just to stay on the safe side. And once you understand how this affects both major blood flow and the smallest vessels in your body, the next step becomes even more powerful because it's not just about what you take, it's about how you combine it with something else most men already have at home. 5. The exact way to use it for maximum effect. This may sound a little intense, but if you want the strongest effect, don't just drink tart cherry juice. Time it, pair it, and control how your body absorbs it. I often tell my patients to take their tart cherry intake on a slightly empty stomach about 45 minutes before bed, and in some cases, combine it with a small source of healthy fat like a few walnuts. It sounds unusual, but this combination slows absorption just enough to extend the release of active compounds through the night when your body is doing most of its repair work. The key compound we're working with here is still anthocyanins, but now we're using them more strategically. Once consumed, these compounds pass through your digestive system and interact with gut enzymes, which convert them into bioactive metabolites that influence nitric oxide production and reduce oxidative stress. That process supports both large blood vessels and microcirculation, meaning not only does overall blood flow improve, but those tiny capillaries responsible for sensation and tissue repair start functioning better, which is why some men notice less numbness and faster recovery over time. In controlled trials, consistent intake of anthocyanin-rich foods has been linked to up to a 20 to 25% improvement in vascular flexibility, and another study showed measurable increases in peripheral circulation within a few weeks, particularly in older adults. These aren't overnight transformations, but they are steady, reliable changes that build with consistency, and that's what makes the difference after 60. Here's how to apply this step by step. For the first week, start with about 4 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice, slightly diluted, taken slowly in the evening. After your body adjusts, increase to 6 to 8 ounces, and if you tolerate it well, you can pair it with a few nuts to stabilize absorption. Avoid drinking it ice cold because extreme temperatures can reduce digestive efficiency, and always choose products without added sugar to protect your metabolic balance. One important note, if you're taking medications for blood pressure or blood thinning, you should introduce this gradually and monitor how your body responds because improved circulation can enhance how those medications work. And once you get this part right, the next step is where things really change because it involves correcting a mistake almost every man makes without realizing it. 6. The hidden mistake and the real timeline of change. This might sound a little counterintuitive, but one of the most powerful things you can do is not increase the dose too quickly. Most men think more will work faster, so they double the amount after a few days, expecting a stronger effect, but what actually happens is the body gets overwhelmed and the benefits flatten out. Instead, the real strategy is controlled buildup because the compound we're working with, anthocyanins, needs time to move through a chain of biological steps before you feel the full effect. Here's what's happening underneath. After you consume tart cherries, anthocyanins are broken down into metabolites that interact with your gut microbiome, and from there they influence nitric oxide production and reduce oxidative stress. That process doesn't just affect large blood vessels, it also restores microcirculation, which is why symptoms like cold hands, slight numbness, or slower tissue recovery begin to improve over time. You're not just pushing more blood through, you're rebuilding how blood flows at every level. In longer-term observations, consistent intake of anthocyanin-rich foods has been associated with around a 20% improvement in endothelial responsiveness and reductions in inflammatory markers of up to 15 to 18% over several weeks. Those numbers may sound clinical, but in real life, that translates to waking up with more stable energy, fewer nighttime interruptions, and a gradual return of responsiveness that feels natural, not forced. So here's how to approach this the right way. Start with a lower dose for the first 5 to 7 days, about 4 ounces of diluted juice or a small portion of fruit, then slowly increase to your full dose over the next 1 to 2 weeks. Always take it at the same time each night, ideally 30 to 60 minutes before bed, and avoid combining it with heavy meals or alcohol because that interferes with absorption and reduces the effect. Also, pay attention to how your body responds. If you notice mild digestive changes or a slight warmth in your body, that's often a sign your circulation is improving, not a problem. But if you have underlying conditions or are on medication, it's always better to move gradually and stay aware. And once you follow this timeline correctly, something shifts that most men don't expect because the final piece isn't about the fruit itself, it's about what you do around it, and that's where the strongest effect begins. 7. Who should be careful and how to use it safely? This might sound a bit strict, but sometimes the most powerful move is to pause and adjust before you push forward. I've had patients who wanted to jump straight into the full dose, expecting faster results. But in certain cases, especially after 60, that can actually work against you, because the same compounds that improve circulation can also shift how your body handles sugar, blood flow, and even medication. Let's focus on one key compound again: natural fruit sugars interacting with anthocyanins and how your body processes them. When you consume tart cherries, those sugars enter your bloodstream, but the anthocyanins help regulate how quickly that happens by influencing insulin sensitivity and vascular response. In a balanced system, this improves both large blood flow and microcirculation, but if you already have metabolic issues like unstable blood sugar, that process needs to be managed more carefully. There have been findings showing improved insulin sensitivity by around 10 to 15% with polyphenol-rich foods, while other data suggests vascular function can improve by over 20% when inflammation is reduced. That's powerful, but it also means your system is changing, and if you're taking medications for blood pressure, blood thinning, or glucose control, these effects can amplify how those medications behave. That's why some men notice stronger effects than expected in the first week. It's not a side effect. It's a shift in how the body is responding. So, here's how to approach this safely. If you have any history of blood sugar issues, start with a very small amount, 3 to 5 cherries or a few sips of diluted juice, and monitor how you feel over several nights before increasing. Keep the juice at room temperature, avoid combining it with other sugary foods, and stay consistent with timing so your body can adapt gradually. This step is not about limiting results. It's about building a stable foundation so the benefits last. And one more thing I always tell my patients: if you notice subtle changes like warmer skin, slightly deeper sleep, or even mild shifts in digestion, those are often signs your circulation and metabolism are adjusting. But if anything feels off beyond that, slow down and reassess, because long-term success comes from steady progress, not speed. And once you've built that foundation safely, the final step is where everything comes together, because it's not just about what you take, it's about how you signal your body to use it, and that's where the strongest effect begins. 8. The night ritual that brings everything together. If you only remember one thing from this entire video, make it this. This is the most effective way to turn everything we've talked about into real, lasting results. Not a pill, not a shortcut, but a simple nightly ritual that signals your body to recover the way it was designed to. And the missing piece here, the one most men never think about, is a compound called magnesium, working together with everything else you've already started. Here's the idea in plain terms. Think of your body like a system of switches. Melatonin tells you when to sleep, blood flow determines performance, but magnesium is what helps flip those switches smoothly. It supports nerve relaxation, stabilizes heart rhythm, and enhances how your body uses melatonin at night, almost like turning a dim light into a steady, deeper signal. That's why when you combine tart cherries with a small magnesium-rich food source, like a few walnuts or almonds, you create a synergy that's far more powerful than either one alone. There have been trials showing magnesium intake improving sleep quality by over 20 to 30%, especially in older adults, while other findings link it to better vascular tone and reduced nighttime awakenings. In some comparisons, the improvement in sleep efficiency and next-day energy begins to approach what people experience with mild sleep medications, but without the grogginess or dependency. And when sleep deepens, your body naturally restores hormone balance and improves circulation, both in large vessels and the smallest capillaries. Here's exactly how to do it. About 45 minutes before bed, take your tart cherries or 6 to 8 ounces of unsweetened juice at room temperature, then add a small handful of walnuts, around 5 to 7 pieces, or almonds. Keep the lights low, avoid screens, and let your body shift into that recovery mode naturally, because this is not about forcing results, it's about creating the right environment every single night. What I like about this approach is how simple it is. No prescription, no high cost, nothing hard to find, just consistency. And over time, that consistency becomes your advantage because the body, even after 60, still knows how to repair itself when you give it the right signals. So if you've been feeling like things are slowing down, this is your way back. No drugs, low cost, and grounded in real physiology that your body already understands. If this helped you see your body a little differently tonight, then don't just move on. Take one small step with me. Try this routine, stay consistent for a few days, and pay attention to how you sleep, how you feel in the morning, and how your body responds. Because real change after 60 doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right thing at the right time over and over again. And if you want more of this, simple, practical, science-based guidance that actually fits your life, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm here to break down what really works, without the noise, without the hype, and in a way that makes sense for your body as it is today. We'll continue exploring how sleep, circulation, and hormones connect, and how small habits can rebuild what feels like it's fading. I read your comments, I learned from your experiences, and I build these videos around what you're going through. So subscribe, stay with me on this journey, and let's take this step by step, because your body is still capable of more than you think.